Peter Holmgren asked me to be a bit provocative and a bit lateral. And I'd like to apologize to everybody in advance because I can't quite read all of his writing. But here are a few reflections on Forest Day from ICRAF, one of the CPF partners. And I'd like to share with you three thoughts: why forests, the origins of Forest Day, and looking forward. So why forests? Forests and trees cover approximately 30% of our world. Trees are the largest, oldest, and most provisioning organisms that we have. We've lost the dinosaurs of our animal kingdom, but trees are those dinosaurs of the plant kingdom that we still have and still treasure. If you asked an architect, a builder, or a plumber to use a blueprint for a tree and produce one, they couldn't, because they are such an enigma and a wonder in the ways in which they function. Individual trees can live more than 4,500 years and are really the greatest intergenerational gift that we have. 350 million years ago, before trees came into existence, CO2 levels were 10 times what they are today, and average temperatures 10 degrees more. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for trees. So when we put trees together inside a forest, we have this beautiful assemblage that we call a forest, and that's why we're all here. So the origins of Forest Day. Well, what happens if you cross a shy Indonesian with an introverted Finnish man? Well, the answer is simple. It's called Forest Day. Because it was Daniel Mudiaso, Indonesian, and Markku Kanninen, a Finn, who first came up with the idea. And during the 26th subsidiary body meeting of UNFCCC in Bonn in May 2007, the idea was hatched. And as shy as Daniel is, he went up to Ivo de Beer during an intersessional break and asked to speak to him. And Ivo brusquely said to him, well, as he smoked a cigarette, you can have 2 minutes. And the rest is history, as they say. And when Ivo came up to Daniel in Bali and said what a great success it was, Daniel was almost tempted to say, well, you only gave me 2 minutes. Imagine if you'd given me 20. But given how shy and humble both Markku and Daniel are, coupled with the fact that English is not their first language, you can imagine how the idea could have also died inside of CIFOR. The CIFOR DG quizzing Daniel could have been something like, okay, Daniel, give me the short version of the minutes of your Bonn meeting on climate change. And Daniel's response of 2 could have been a little frustrating for Frances. Not understanding that, she could have gone along to speak to Markku and said, what does Daniel mean by 2? He said, well, that was with the number of minutes that we had to try and get the idea for us. Do you really mean for us? For CIFOR? No, for us, as in forest. And that is how Forest Day was born. We're also lucky that Frances had the name See More and not See Less. As she was able to really pick up the idea and to expand it with the CPF and with the able CIFOR communications directors of first Michael Hailu and then later John Comey to really make it happen. But of course it is the great army of CIFOR staff and volunteers that really made it happen in Bali, and then Poznan, then Copenhagen, then Cancun, then Durban, and now here in Doha. And for that, we should all be highly appreciative to CIFOR and to them. And perhaps we could show our appreciation to all of them. As mentioned this morning by both Peter Holmgren and Eduardo Rojas, the promotion, the endorsement, the support of the Collaborative Partnership on Forests has been instrumental to the impact and success of Forest Days. Where else have you seen 14 institutional champions rally around such a crucial issue? Sometimes I imagine, though, Peter, that CIFOR felt they did most of the work. And John, I don't know if there's a competition for a different acronym to CPF and what it stands for, but if it's not too late, how about CIFOR Please Fund? Or maybe Complaining Partners Frenzy. But of course, as a fellow CPF member, I say these only in jest. So looking forward to Landscape Day. And what is this thing called a landscape? Well, the term originated 1,500 years ago describe a jurisdictional area of land. And in the 16th century, Flemish painters took up the term to describe those artworks that portrayed a topographical vista. But as the Netherlands is so flat, the distance that you could see was not very far, so landscapes were quite a small concept. And Daniel, you may have even had some Dutch customers who told their painters, well, you've got 2 minutes to paint me a landscape. Recently, there's been much interest in the landscape approach, most notably at Rio+20. And yet we still pursue segregated measures to address interdependent problems of our world. In the environmental sector, we have payments for environmental services. In the forestry sector, we have RED. And now for the agriculture sector, we're proposing climate-smart agriculture. But these silos need to be amalgamated under a broader climate-smart landscape program for beneficial and productive adaptation to climate change. Moreover, it's not only the biophysical landscape that we need to address, but also the social landscape. Solutions for soil erosion, water scarcity, and low returns need to make sense across interdependent scales of farmers, district governance, and national policies. To make this happen, we need to learn from RED experiences where the opportunity cost of forest clearance alone and the market price for carbon were simplistically proposed to halt deforestation. And as Jan reminded us, we can't only look at the negative, the fact that the sky is falling on our heads. As we approach Landscape Day and landscape issues, we've got to turn it positive. Because Martin Luther King didn't wake up one morning and say, and last night, I had a nightmare. He had a dream. And the dream of CPF and the dream of the organizers of Agriculture Day are that together agriculture and forestry can be much more stronger, and that is why Landscape is being created, and that is the dream of these organizers and others. So in essence, the climate-smart landscape approach, or maybe even simply the smart landscape approach that combines people, place, and purpose, needs to be championed. The right land uses for the right people in the right place for the right reasons. And as we approach the Sustainable Development Goals, we have a multitude of perennial problems, and for these, we believe in perennial solutions. That is, trees and forests. So if you want more than a glass, plastic, concrete, and steel future for our children, let's make sure that forests and trees are well represented in landscapes. And as Luke Skywalker from the Star Wars movie may have meant to say, may the forest be with you.